Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, a podcast that explores Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, elder candidate at Redeemer Fellowship.
Hey.
Hey.
Did you see what we got in the mail from a listener?
Yeah, you know what?
Jason Allen.
Dr. Jason Allen.
Well, it just didn't say Dr. J. It just said Jason
Baptist
Allen.
Theological Seminary.
It just said Jason Allen.
Okay, fine. We're so close, and he's such a fan that it's
You
pretty
think it's
informal.
the same? You think the Jason Allen that sent us cigar posters
Yes.
is the same Jason Allen that is the president of Midwestern?
Absolutely, they've been wooing us for some time to lead the For the Church conference.
No, I don't think that's
they've been
true.
wanting us to
Don't
take the
think
main
so.
stage and
I
just
know
record
that's not.
podcasts.
You know we're not main stage people.
No,
you know that.
No, they don't. No one wants us. No one wants
Not
us.
main stage. So, but hey, Dr. President Allen, thanks for those.
Thank you so much for those. actually, he commented because I tagged him.
Yeah, I figured he would say
he
like,
commented,
that ain't
like,
me.
He goes, no, he says like, hey, I appreciate your kind words, but no, it's not me.
So, but thanks to Jason Allen, man, we have great listeners, and Jason is a good guy and sent us this awesome cigar poster. Hey, Jimmy, you got yours yet? I got mine.
No, you haven't given it to me yet.
And you know why?
Why is that?
Because Jason said you can't have it until you're no longer an elder candidate. You have to be a full-blown elder to get it.
Oh, well, did Jason order anything online? Did he order anything from the store? You ain't getting that either.
Well, I don't think he did.
Dang
so, yeah, I think he's good.
I'm going to send it to Dr. Allen instead.
Yeah, I got, all I know is mine looks good in my office.
Oh, does it?
So, how's your week been?
Week's been good.
Yeah?
Week's been good, yeah. A lot of work, a lot of stuff. So just kind of trying to look, I'm just trying to look ahead, figure out what I'm going to leave next.
Got big plans for the weekend?
Well, Michelle and I got to spend Saturday evening together without the kids. They're gone.
But I mean this coming weekend.
Oh, this coming weekend. You know what? I might be gone.
What?
Michelle,
You can't leave. Jen left. Jen left me, and you can't go.
So, yeah, I think we're trying to figure out whether this weekend or the next weekend the boys and I are going to go do a guys trip.
Okay, do the next weekend because
this weekend might be better because of the weather.
My wife left for Texas.
Yep.
I'm all by myself with the kids.
Hey, listen,
Like,
man, I can't help you. All I know
No.
is I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my kids.
Pat's
so.
at For the Church this weekend. He's
Yeah.
at the For the Church
He's going
conference.
to
I'm gonna be
For
all
the
by
Church
myself.
conference. Yep.
You're all,
What do you want
you're
me to do?
staying. You're playing around. You're
No,
staying.
I'm actually not.
Yeah,
playing
no, you're
around.
playing.
I'm not quite
you're
sure
playing.
though.
Yeah. All right. So we've been doing our Five Kinds of Calvinist series.
Yep. So just in case, just so anyone knows, I might be heading to Kentucky or Alabama. I will
Not
let you know
this weekend, but next weekend.
I will let you know, and hopefully we could meet up and
In 2 weekends
help
from
me
now.
find a church.
Not
to
this
worship
Saturday,
with,
but the following Saturday
on
and
the
Sunday.
Lord's Day. So I will
All
let
right.
you know.
20th, the 30th, and the 31st. That's what Jimmy's talking about.
Nope,
right
nope,
there.
nope.
Yep. All righty. So the Five Kinds of Calvinists. What have we talked about, Jimmy?
We talked about the bad Calvinists.
Talked about bad.
We talked about new Calvinists first.
That's
new
what it
Calvinists,
was.
Bad Calvinists, half-calf
Half-calf
Calvinists,
Calvinists.
and now we are talking about the strawman Calvinist.
The Straw Calvinist.
The straw Calvinist.
The Straw Calvinist is what it sounds like if you're familiar with traditionalism or internet debate, because there's always a straw man involved. So the straw man argument is the idea that you are arguing against not the actual position or argument from from the opposing side, but you are arguing against your inaccurate construction of that argument, which does not accurately reflect the views or the beliefs or the arguments of your opponent. And so this is something that comes up quite a bit. People say, I don't like Calvinists and Calvinism because they believe X, Y, and Z. And when in fact, when you pay close attention, Calvinists do not believe those things. Listen, we believe some stuff that people don't like, and they're very accurate. They can say, you believe in limited atonement, and we reject limited atonement, and this is why, and that's fine. We have no problem debating people or disagreeing with people and all of that, but the straw man thing frustrates me a little bit.
Yeah, and it's not just with Calvinists. It's with any other.
Calvinists do it to traditionalists as well.
Exactly. With any other theological bent. But I think the frustrating part is because you're not actually engaging with the object or the point at hand. I think the word you used was misrepresented. I think that's like the best case scenario, Best case scenario, it's a misrepresentation.
Right.
Worst case scenario,
You're a liar.
You're a liar. Yeah, and I don't know what's the word to
Yeah.
that. Like you know that that's not true.
Right.
But you're going to, for the sake of pride,
Yeah.
and to win an argument, going to construct this.
So ignorant or lying?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
For there to be a strawman argument, you must be one or the other. Somebody is either ignorant.
Yes,
of
and
the
when
facts.
we say, and I know when we mentioned that word ignorant before, and I know we.
Yeah, you use that a lot.
Well, but we're not meaning
your
it in the
favorite
way
word.
of like
We're not saying they're dumb.
Yes.
Wait, we
No,
are.
we're not. No.
no.
We're not.
I said
we're
not saying
ignoramus.
Yeah, we're not saying they're dumb. We're saying they're ignorant, which means uninformed. They don't have the information. Don't have the
and
knowledge.
they have not read. That's all.
All right, anything.
No, not that anything. They might have read some, but not
right.
Yeah, they haven't.
So
delved
and
as
that's
deep.
fine. I'm ignorant about stuff. And
A lot
you're
of
ignorant-
things,
So
yeah.
what, a few things, and
A lot of things
few
you are, yeah.
a few areas of
Man,
obscure theology.
Today at the other day at sermon,
Yeah.
when you said, "Man, I could just be a talker. I could just be a loud talker, or just over talking, or I'm annoying, or something like that." And you're like, you were talking about it, you go, "Yeah,
I don't think I said this.
Yeah, you did. You're like, back in the day, I was annoying, or I was this and I was that, and I'm no longer that. But sometimes I can be at times, and I just go, I wanted to from the back go, Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
I don't think you're accurate. That's a straw man. You're not accurately representing me.
No, I'm accurately
You are
representing.
not accurately
Hey,
representing
why
what
don't
I
you be
said.
the two people that listen to the sermon online? And,
Oh man, lots of people listen to that. I'll tell you what, more people listen to those sermons than listen to
No.
Soteriology 101. Tell you that.
I can't
Let's put up
believe
the stats.
Stop.
All right. No, listen, I'm half joking around because I'm just going to jump into it.
All right, jump into it.
I'm gonna jump
into it.
So, Dr. Flowers at Soteriology 101, he's engaged us quite a bit since we started the podcast. Maybe not immediately after we started, but at some point I feel like he started to respond and engage out of nowhere.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I guess out of nowhere, but I think it was more after what school is that? The one that's Southwestern? South.
Oh, yeah, Southwestern? What did we say?
We were talking about how they. I can't remember now. Never.
All
mind.
right, so
it was after
Jimmy said something stupid.
No, it was after Rick Patrick had spoke there, and students.
Oh, okay. So we
that?
engaged Rick Patrick, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's when he started engaging with
So
us.
Dr. Flowers is a traditionalist theologian.
Dude, I love his setup for his podcast, though. I'll tell you that.
I've seen it before. All right, so
I'm just saying I like it. What give the man credit where credit's due.
We could do with less. I mean, it's like it's his face the whole time. How about some like I don't know.
Do you want our face?
Puppets?
No,
like puppets coming in or something. I feel like he could do more than just his face.
Well, I feel like if it was us doing that, it would be our face, and that'd be an issue for people.
Oh, no,
so he's got the face
because people would stumble.
He's got the face that people, you can have that online. You and I, it's like.
Well, look, here's the thing. So, he's engaged us, and and sometimes he wants to actually wants to try to have an online discussion or debate kind of a thing. And to be honest, Jimmy and I don't have time for that.
And it's always on Fridays. It's always on Fridays when I'm trying to get to inbox 0 and Joe's day off.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I don't like. First of all, I don't argue online because I have real people in my life. I'm not saying that Dr. Flowers doesn't, but I spend my time talking about this stuff. I'm fully invested in my church, so I really don't feel like debating things online.
And you only have 140 characters.
So
how do you get like a whole? You know what I mean?
So well, here's the thing. So Jimmy puts up on Twitter this statement. The guys talk about, quote, bad Calvinists, end quote, and with a link to the podcast. And then Soteriology 101, that's Dr. Flowers, he comes on with, question, weren't bad Calvinists ordained by God to be bad? If so, who are you to talk back to God by questioning how he has molded his vessels? Now, honestly, I thought it was a joke. I legitimately thought he was joking with us because he's been friendly.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke
and we joke around, right? We've been respectful. Mm-hmm. I feel like we've been very respectful. That's going to end today, everybody.
No, it's not.
I'm taking off the gloves.
Nope, it's not going to end today.
But we've been very respectful and playful, and so I thought, he must be joking. And so I was like, ha, oh man, please tell me I spelled you are wrong. It's just, yes. Tell me you're joking around, Leighton. And then he said, before replying, please read this article to better understand our position and our question. I'm asking with respect. And I said, I will find time to read the article, but your statement shows a lack of understanding for the Reformed position. Now, that's not the only thing he tweeted, because he didn't tag me in this.
Well, did he tag Doc and Devo or no? You're saying
No, well, it says
because some other people jumped in on there.
All right, so here's all I see. I see, and I'll put up a screen grab. He says he's referring to, haha, oh man, please tell me you are joking around. And his response to that for his listeners at large is, when one has a good answer, he gives it. When he doesn't, ... this.
And then he pointed.
And he pointed down to it. So, okay, so I don't feel like that's very respectful, dude. I honestly feel like that was a little weak. I have plenty of answers. I don't deem this sort of a thing worthy of much time. And I actually
on social media,
on social media. So all right, so whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to address the straw man that you have created. Now, the thing that Leighton does is he'll say frequently, hey, this is not a straw man argument. I'm just quoting from the sources.
Well, and even that article that he posted, he
I'll link to that.
He preempts that argument.
Right. So he's like, hey, this is not a straw man. But look, Leighton, but just because you say your straw man isn't a straw man, that doesn't make it an animated sentient being that's skipping down the yellow brick road out of Oz, okay? It's still a scarecrow. It's still a straw man if it doesn't accurately represent the views of Calvin and the Reformers. So in this article, Leighton pulls quotes about God's absolute sovereignty from John Calvin and John Piper. He went with two Johns, like maybe the oldest John and the newest John in Calvinism. And Piper's whatever. He's certainly a Calvinist, a representative of Calvinism, but Calvin, that's definitely a good one for him to pick. Mm-hmm. So what we're dealing with here is, his actual tweet, which is, weren't bad Calvinists ordained by God to be bad? And if so, who are you to talk back to God by questioning how he's molded his vessels? In other words, if God determined in advance that you would be a bad Calvinist, then you cannot ask God why he finds fault with you. This is just the way that you are. And he links us back to an article which essentially says that we are, as Calvinists, that we believe that God is essentially the originator of sin. That that we are not responsible for the actions that we make in this life that are sinful. And so I wanted to make a distinction here.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so the distinction is this: in his article called "Disapproving God's Plan," he is saying that Calvinists shouldn't be able to be horrified by the evil actions of men because God has ordained them. And since God has ordained them for us to be aghast at what has happened, we're essentially aghast at God's plan. So the distinction I want to make is between the evil actions and intentions of men and the sovereignty of God. In other words, we have to make a distinction, right, between the sovereign decree of God and the responsibility of man. So in this article, what Leighton does is he quotes from Calvin a whole bunch, and it's great. He apparently knows how to use Logos and to search for quotes, because he has all of these quotes on Calvin speaking about God's divine decree, his absolute sovereignty over good and evil, even sins, and all of that. This is not a surprise. The Reformed tradition believes in this. We in our confessions and our catechism, we say things like, the decrees of God are his eternal purpose according to the counsel of his own will, whereby for his own glory he has foreordained whatsoever comes to pass. All right, so we believe that. That's something that we believe. God has orchestrated all things for his own glory, and everything happens according to plan. And so that's fine. If you're just going to pick out those statements and leave it there, then you might be able to draw the wrong conclusion that we believe that people are just robots and they're not responsible for what they do, and that we can't be horrified at the things that they do. But that's not all that we believe. Calvinists believe, yes, that God is sovereign over good and evil, and we believe that man is responsible for what he does. In fact, in the Reformed tradition, we talk about man being a free agent. So let me just read a couple of things here. I think that this will be helpful. So we'll start with some Spurgeon. I got to put on my glasses.
Sorry, which book do you have there?
All right, so this is out of Spurgeon versus Hyper-Calvinism, and I got a lot of bookmarks in here. Oh, here we go. All right. Here's a quote from Spurgeon, yes, on divine sovereignty and on human responsibility. You've got to see both of them.
Yeah, they got to be hand in hand.
I believe in predestination, yea, even in its very jots and tittles. I believe that the path of a single grain of dust in the March wind is ordained and settled by a decree which cannot be violated, that every word and thought of man, every flittering of a sparrow's wing, every flight of a fly, that everything, in fact, is foreknown and foreordained. But I do equally believe in the free agency of man, that man acts as he wills, especially in moral operations, choosing the evil with a will that is unbiased by anything that comes from God, biased only by his own depravity of heart and the perverseness of his habits. Choosing the right, too, with perfect freedom, though sacredly guided and led by the Holy Spirit. I believe that man is as accountable as if there were no destiny whatsoever. Where these two truths meet, I do not know, nor do I want to know. They do not puzzle me, since I have given up my mind to believing them both. So Spurgeon says a couple of things here. He says, one, I believe that God has ordained every single thing that happens in the universe. Yes. Every single thing. There is nothing left to chance. There is nothing left to our freedom in a way that is somehow outside of God's decree, his plan. But at the same time, he believes that we are free agents who do what we want to do, and we are not coerced whatsoever. Now, that's Spurgeon. I know some people are like, well, Spurgeon wasn't a real Calvinist or a strict Calvinist. Yeah, he was. And the more you read of him, the more you know that. But just so that we get to the straight dope, let's look at the Reformed Doctrine of Predestination by Loraine Bettner. Listen to this. How can a person be a free and responsible agent if his actions have been foreordained from eternity? By a free and responsible agent, we mean an intelligent person who acts with rational self-determination. And by foreordination, we mean that from eternity, God has made certain the actual course of events which take place in the life of every person and in the realm of nature. It is, of course, admitted by all that a person's acts must be without compulsion and in accordance with his own desires and inclinations, or he cannot be held accountable for them. If the acts of a free agent are in their very nature contingent and uncertain, then it is plain that foreordination and free agency are inconsistent. So what he's saying here is that he's raising this question. Loraine is raising this objection. How can a person be free if and responsible if there is a decree that includes all things?
Yeah.
And so he says later on, the same God who has ordained all events has ordained human liberty in the midst of these events. And this liberty is as surely fixed as is anything else. Man is no mere automaton or machine. In the divine plan, which is infinite in variety and complexity, which reaches from everlasting to everlasting, and which includes millions of free agents who act and interact and react upon each other, God has ordained that human beings shall keep their liberty under his sovereignty. He has made no attempt to give us a formal explanation of these things, and our limited human knowledge is not able to fully solve the problem. So what Bettner is saying is the same thing that Spurgeon is saying. I believe that we are free to do what we want to do, and we will only choose those things that we want to do, and we are not coerced. That's the issue. We are not coerced to do something. And yet, every choice that we have made from the Calvinist position is foreordained by God. So in short, Calvinists believe that human beings are responsible for their actions and that God is still sovereign over them. So to say like, well, you can't, Calvinists, they really can't be aghast at what people do because they simply believe that God has foreordained that they do those evil deeds without recognizing that God's sovereignty over the evil actions of men, which we see in Scripture, by the way, does not take away the responsibility of the person committing the sin. One more thing, I'll just read from Berkhof's Systematic Theology. Again, this is the stuff that if you want to understand our perspective, these are the kind of places that you should be going to. Man is a free agent with the power of rational self-determination. He can reflect upon and in an intelligent way choose certain ends and can also determine his action with respect to them. The decree of God, however, carries with it necessity. God has decreed to effectuate all things, or if he has not decreed that, he has at least determined that they must come to pass. He has decided the course of man's life for him. In answer to this objection, it may be said that the Bible certainly does not proceed on the assumption that the divine decree is inconsistent with the free agency of man. It clearly reveals that God has decreed the free acts of man, but also that the actors are nonetheless free and therefore responsible for their acts. There's an illustration that Bettner uses in his book that might be helpful. And he says that God is like an architect, right?
Okay.
Now, it's an illustration. So it's not perfect.
Of course.
All right. He says God is like an architect, and he has designed this cathedral that needs to be built. Now, it's a modern cathedral, so it's going to be ornate and beautiful, but it's also going to have HVAC. It's going to have, fog machines, probably.
Probably not fog.
Probably fog. It's my.
Oh, I thought maybe it was Nick's church, so that's why.
No. But if it was, then yes.
Then yes,
it
fog
would be,
machines.
so.
But for
All right.
our church, no.
Let's just for Nick's. Just say it's Nick's cathedral.
All right.
Nick Batzig, Presbyterian. All right. So the architect says, here are the blueprints, and here are the plans, and here are all of the things that has to happen for this building to come into reality. So, is my phone going off? Yeah, here it is. Sorry. All right. And so, by laying out this plan, what do we see happening on the construction site? All of these people doing very specific things.
Correct.
And they are all doing exactly what the architect and the planner has determined. And yet they're doing those things of their own free volition. Bettner, I think it is Bettner. Yep. Bettner says it is similar to that, in that we are free to do what we want to do. We are not coerced by God to do things we don't want to do. So we are responsible for those actions. And yet, at the same time, God is sovereign over it all. So
he's the architect.
Right. And what I would say is that, and what all of these guys say, Berkhoff, Spurgeon, Bettner, all of these guys would say the same thing. We cannot see exactly where these two realities meet. Right? We don't try to reconcile them. They're already friends, Spurgeon said. Human responsibility and divine sovereignty. They are true. And we can understand them to greater or lesser degrees, but we don't pit them against one another. The Calvinist affirms both the free agency of man, the responsibility of man, and the sovereignty of God. The traditionalist does not, certainly not in the way that we would. And so the Straw Calvinist is a misrepresentation of Calvinism. And in this case, most recently, it has been that we've essentially view human beings as robots, and that Calvin didn't believe that we were responsible, that sinners are responsible for their actions.
Yeah,
that's just not the case. We believe absolutely in responsibility, and we believe in sovereignty. So get that off my chest. And why is he interacting with us anyway? I don't even know why. I don't even know why Soteriology 101 is always talking to us. Like, we don't care.
No, well, I think part of it is because we're fun. Like, we are fun. We're.
I don't feel like he's having fun. I feel like he's all like puffing up and everything.
You and I. No, you.
No, man. He's like mad dogging me. He's mad dogging me on here.
He is not mad dogging.
He was mad dogging me on there with that one tweet.
Mad dogging.
Oh yeah, he was.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that I think we're fun. Like people like to interact with us. People like to talk with us. They want to.
I don't like talking.
Okay, but others do like talking to us. And
I don't like talking.
I think secondly, there are some people, I'm not saying that this is Dr. Flowers, but there are some people that I've noticed that they like to tag us when they're promoting their material. You know what I mean? Like when they're promoting their stuff.
But we're not promoting his stuff.
No, I know that, but people see it on the feeds if they tag in a certain way. You know that. I know that.
Okay, so you're saying that Dr. Flowers
is
trying to bump up his numbers because he's got a small following and we got big following.
No, you asked the question.
No, but that's what you said, right?
No.
I think you said that.
For other people, that might be
Dr.
the case.
Flowers, I'm not saying that. That's Jimmy's argument.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. You asked the question. Why do people talk
to us? And then you said Dr. Flowers is trying to bump up his numbers.
No, there are other people that are. I can tell that. I can tell that.
All right. So I got that off my chest as best as I can. Mm-hmm. It's not the kind of thing I like really getting into in this format.
Plus, it's just cordial. I think that's the third reason why people want to actually engage in good conversation.
Nah, but like him, like this is how a dummy responds. Like that's not cool.
He
man.
did not
Come on.
say dummy.
Well, that's what it meant.
No, it did not.
He doesn't have a good answer. That's what he said. This guy doesn't have a good answer.
Stop it.
That's what it says.
I know that, but it didn't say dummy.
Okay, but it meant dummy.
It did not.
All right,
mean
you
dummy.
go on. Get it. What do you want to talk about? Okay, you picked a straw man too. Now you talk about your straw man.
Well, I guess the straw man that, and Dr. Flowers is not talking about this, but others I hear pretty often, is the Calvinist does not believe in evangelism. They don't evangelize because if God is sovereign over salvation, then what's the point?
Yeah, if God's chosen the number
If
of the
God's
elect,
chosen the number of people, then they will come to salvation. So there's no point in preaching the gospel and reaching out to those around us.
so Calvinists either don't believe in evangelism or they don't practice evangelism. Either way, because of their that's the straw man argument. And by the way, Flowers, I think, has said in the past, like, no, Calvinists do practice evangelism.
Yeah, that's why I said it wasn't him. I said others.
Right. No, I'm just backing you up. I'm backing you up.
Quit making a straw man argument against Dr. Flowers.
No, you were.
You
go
need
ahead.
to stop.
Go ahead. You
need to stop.
Small followers.
I
Go
did
ahead.
not say small flowers.
Go ahead.
Stop it. All right. Anyways, so I don't agree with that. I don't see that. I think history, some of the great movements of the church, right? I'm trying to think of like the Great Awakening and things like that, right? Were by reformed leaning individuals,
Or full-on
reformed churches, right? And so even Calvin himself.
Oh, you're going all the way back.
Well, why can't I?
You could, yeah, man, go all the way back. That's good. I like that.
Well, let's look at this. Let's look at Calvin in one of his commentaries. His commentary. Hold on, where is it? Commentary
On Isaiah.
Isaiah, and this is looking at chapter 2, verse 3.
All right.
So here's Isaiah 2, verse 3. I'm just going to read it. And many people shall come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So now here's what Calvin wrote on Isaiah chapter 2, verse 3.
He said, don't bother helping.
Don't bother evangelizing.
Don't bother help people come to that
Thou
mountain.
shalt not witness.
Just chill.
Just chill?
Yes.
Okay, no, he did not say that. Here's Calvin's words. By these words, he first declares that the godly will be filled with such an ardent desire to spread the doctrines of religion that everyone not satisfied with his own calling and his personal knowledge will desire to draw others along with him. And indeed, nothing can be more inconsistent with the nature of faith than that deadness which would lead a man to disregard his brethren and to keep the light of knowledge choked up within his own breast.
So Calvin was a traditionalist?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying Calvin affirms the preaching of the gospel and reaching out to those around us. I love how you worded this here, right? Nothing could be more inconsistent with the nature of faith than that deadness that would lead a man to disregard his brethren.
Yeah.
That's not just, listen to me, that's not just an argument against a straw man argument. You know what I mean? Like, we're not just, it doesn't just go against what the straw man argument is of Calvinists not evangelizing. That's actually a rebuke against those of us who are not reaching out to those around us. Whether you're Calvinist, whether you're traditionalist, whether you're Baptist, whether you're Pentecostal, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, what is that, this inconsistent nature of faith, that the deadness which would lead a man to disregard his brother.
So it's a heart issue for Calvin.
What lack of love?
Yeah, that's exactly
What lack
it.
of love do you have for those around you to not share the gospel with them?
Yeah, your faith is illegitimate, basically.
That's it. And just that deadness, how cold you are. I think it's a selfishness. I think that's what I'm inferring here. And I'm also inferring it because I see it in my own heart. Right? A selfishness to not reach out, a selfishness to not put myself out there. But I think it even goes even further, a selfishness to we grasp the beauty, right, of faith. We grasp a understanding of our salvation is only found in Jesus Christ and his work on the cross. That without Christ's death on the cross, without his salvation, we would be doomed to a justified, everlasting punishment for our sins.
Right.
And yet, we don't share that. We don't share that with those around us. I think we've actually mentioned it in a previous episode when we talked about, it probably was about evangelism, about Penn and Teller. Penn,
Yep.
is that Penn the tall one? Penn the tall one?
Yeah, Penn Jillette.
Yeah, he was sharing. This is a guy that is not a Christian, but he shared this story online about how this Christian came to him and gave him a Bible after the service.
He was watching the show.
Watched the show.
Fan of
Exactly. And so afterwards, gave him a Bible, said, praying for you, yada, yada, appreciate everything you're doing, walked off. And Penn was kind of reflecting upon this and thinking to himself, listen, this guy doesn't know me, but the act of love that the man has for me in not even knowing me to believe he believes that, wait a second, this is this man's salvation, that he would be bold enough to witness to me and to reach out to me. And he even Penn even talked about, if you saw a child standing in the middle of the road about to get hit by a car, would you not run out there to grab that child, to save that child, to rescue that child? It's the same thing here.
And he actually says in that video, he says, if you actually believe in hell and don't tell me, you don't try to save me, then you don't love me.
You don't love me.
He dislikes Christianity as a religion. He doesn't dislike Christians. He just dislikes Christianity as an ideology.
Yes.
But yeah, I love that account. Now, listen, Calvin, he's not just talking.
No, he's not just talking.
He was a doer.
That guy, he was a doer. I mean, Calvin, not only he trained and supported missionaries. By 1555, they had planted 5 churches in France.
In France, right? Yeah.
In France. A few years later, there was about 100 churches in France. By 1562, they had planted over 2,000 churches. So in the span of 7 years, 7 years, over 2,000 churches planted in France.
And this is
not a guy that wants to reach out, I guess.
Yeah,
This is not a guy that wants
the frozen chosen,
this is
right?
the frozen chosen.
Yeah.
He does not believe. So it's not only that he talks about it, but it's an actual. It's put into practice. It's part of the life of the church. It's part of what the church is called to do, is to evangelize and spread the gospel.
You see it in Calvin. This Calvinistic, this Reformed theology giving birth to zealous evangelism.
Yeah.
You see it in the Puritan movement, where they were supremely concerned about the soul, about the individual coming to faith in Jesus Christ. You see it in the 1700s with the Great Awakening and Jonathan Edwards and George Whitefield really leading the charge in much of that. You see it in guys in the 18th century, guys like Asahel Nettleton or Spurgeon, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
We have Adoniram Judson, William Carey, the founder of the modern missions movement. So many of these classic evangelists used by God were card-carrying 5-pointers, we could say.
Exactly.
And their Calvinism didn't cool them off. It lit a fire under their butt to tell other people about Jesus. It gave them confidence. And we've talked about that before. So, when you're considering these different kinds of Calvinists, the one that I think you want to watch out for is the Straw Calvinist. And if you're a Calvinist, you need to watch out for the Straw Calvinist, because that's the one that you're going to have to disassemble in the minds of other people.
Correct.
Because they're not going to understand you or your beliefs. They're going to believe this artificial, suit stuffed with the hay of guessing. I don't know what it is. And
that was really good, Joe.
I was trying to paint a picture. Trying to paint a picture here.
No, you nailed it.
I shot all my bullets in the sermon today. I don't have anything left.
You got nothing left.
All my creativity's gone. So when you see that, you're going to have to identify what's wrong with it, right? So in the case of, Calvinists don't practice evangelism. Christians don't generally practice evangelism. We all need to repent of that, Calvinist and Arminian and everybody in between. But historically, Calvinists love evangelism, championed evangelism, and I would say that most of the famous evangelists in history, I would say most, not all, are Calvinistic. So there you go with that. And then when it comes to the fact that, Calvinists believe that God is foreordained sin and that's a part of his plan, so we have to rejoice in that. That's not what Calvinists believe. That might be the wrong conclusion that you draw based on cherry picking certain statements out of a 2-volume work that you haven't read all the way through. But it is definitely not the argument that Calvinists would make. So you have to disassemble those things. And then I would say to those of you who aren't Calvinists, beware the straw man, because that's not going to help you understand a position that you disagree with.
Yeah.
Read the guys. Read the original sources. Read the guys that are actually Reformed, and then you can form your opinion on what they, whether you agree or not with them and their beliefs.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. You know, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Doc and Devo, or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head out to the website, doctrinedevotion.com. There you can contact us. You can sign up for our email list. You can hit up the store. There you can grab the Reformation 500T or sign up for the 2018 Doctrine and Devotion Conference on the Spirit and the Church. You got something on your mind?
I have nothing on my mind.
Yeah,
I'm
here
tired.
goes. All right, here we go. Ready?
What?
Because I'm going to say something, and then you're going to say no, or you're going to make up some excuse. Here we go.
Okay.
All right. Fresh pod every Monday and Thursday. Blog posts on Wednesdays.
So eventually again, yeah.
Video content Fridays. Except for when Joe forgets.
No,
Joe,
no.
you forgot.
I
It's
did not
okay.
forget. No.
It's okay.
You took the whole case.
The case stays with me.
No, the case stays with the stuff.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
That
it does.
case does not.
You have to do.
Listen to me. I never gave you possession.
Yeah, you
of-
did.
No.
I left it here after I brought it in. Yeah.
No, that is my case. That's my
But
case.
I had
for the
that
thing.
case that holds the
That case
SD
goes with
cards.
me.
I had it in there because here's the
Nope.
thing: when I do video,
Nope.
I have to have audio and video.
That's
I have
right.
to have two SD
So you
cards.
got to get another video card or another SD card.
And I need a case.
No, you don't need a case because there's in the one case that we already got you has slots
Yeah,
or slots
those
for
are
it.
very good.
No,
Point
you don't
is,
need to
all
waste
right,
money on
you-
that.
and
Either way, you forgot.
give
It's
me the
fine.
D&D
It's
card
okay.
and I'll go buy that
I don't
stuff.
trust you with the card because
Then you go
always
buy it
go
for
over
me.
budget.
Buy it for me, Secretary. Go.
Because you go over budget all
Buy
the
it.
time.
Chop chop.
Bye, Felicia. Later.